All right, welcome to the ultimate masterclass explainer for the Cambridge AS Level Afrikaans 8679 exam. If you are watching this, you're not just looking to pass, you are actively aiming for those top-tier elite marking bands, and you are in the exact right place. Today, we're putting a massive magnifying glass on the health and fitness topic area. We are going to meticulously break down how to extract core themes like exercise, dieting, healthcare, and physiological stress from highly complex Afrikaans texts. But more importantly, we're going to decode exactly what the principal examiners are demanding to see in your written responses. You see, the difference between a generic answer and a full mark answer isn't just about how much Afrikaans vocabulary you've memorized. It is entirely about how you deconstruct complex questions, how you allocate your time, and how you deploy high-level critical thinking strategies. So grab your notebooks, get focused, and let's dive right in.
Here is our roadmap for today's session. First, the examiner's lens. Second, core concepts. Third, the deconstruction debate. Fourth, the method mark strategy. Fifth, an interactive workshop. And finally, the strategy recap.
Let's start with section 1, the examiner's lens.
Okay, look at this direct quote pulled straight from the principal examiner reports. The classic mistake is providing generic answers not specific to the question context. I cannot emphasize enough how absolutely crucial this is. This is the ultimate trap. You might know the Afrikaans vocabulary for cardiovascular health or physiological stress perfectly. You might have memorized every grammatical rule in the textbook, but it is entirely useless if you do not apply it to the exact, highly specific scenario presented in the exam paper. Context is king here. Let's do a deep breakdown of command words right now, because this is where the exam is won or lost on high tariff questions, those massive 9 to 15 mark questions. When a question asks you to explain, you are just providing the why and the how. But when it asks to what extent, you are being challenged to evaluate limits, to argue that something is true, but only up to a certain point. Similarly, analyze means you are breaking down the Afrikaans text into its core components, but evaluate means you have to make a judgment, you have to weigh the evidence. If you treat an evaluate question like an analyze question, you instantly cap your mark, no matter how flawless your Afrikaans is. Year after year, examiners see brilliant students fall into the exact same traps. Here are the top 3 mistakes you absolutely must avoid. First, using the wrong approach for the context. This happens when you read a stimulus about rural healthcare challenges, but you start writing a pre-memorized essay about urban gym culture. You're completely missing the target. Second, forgetting format and presentation. If the prompt demands an article, a formal letter, or a debate speech in Afrikaans, and you just write a standard essay, you are throwing away structural marks. You have to adopt the correct persona and formatting conventions. And third, providing generic, non-specific answers. This goes back to what we just discussed. If the text provides specific data about a new dieting trend, you can't just talk about diet in a broad philosophical sense. You have to anchor every single point you make to the specific details in the text. Knowing these 3 traps means you can consciously step right over them while the rest of the candidates stumble. Moving right along to section 2, core concepts. To score at the highest possible level, your response needs to be a perfect, balanced synthesis of 3 distinct cognitive domains, also known as your assessment objectives. Imagine a pie chart cut into 3 slices. The first slice is AO1, knowledge and understanding. This is your foundation. It's your accurate use of Afrikaans vocabulary, syntax, and basic comprehension of the text. But here's the reality check. Just regurgitating facts will only get you credit for that one slice. To get the rest of the pie, you need AO2, analysis. This is where you dissect the author's arguments, identify their tone, and break down how they've constructed their points about health or fitness. And finally, the holy grail, AO3, evaluation. This is your ability to synthesize the information, judge the validity of the claims made in the text, and form your own heavily supported conclusions. A flawless response seamlessly weaves all 3 together. And that perfect synthesis brings us to this definition: connected conceptual understanding. What does that actually mean? It is the elite ability to transfer fundamental principles of health and fitness to entirely unfamiliar contexts and cross-topic scenarios. The Cambridge examiners love doing this. They will give you an Afrikaans reading prompt focused heavily on, say, the physiological impacts of stress in the workplace. A standard student will just write about stress, but a top-performing student, they will skillfully weave in how that workplace stress impacts long-term dieting habits, or how it creates downstream burdens on national healthcare systems. They make those cross-topic connections. They zoom out and look at the whole ecosystem of health and fitness using advanced target language to articulate those links. When examiners see that level of connected understanding, you are practically forcing them to award you top marks.
Let's move into section 3, the deconstruction debate.
To really understand how to unlock those top-tier marking bands, I want you to picture two very different students sitting in a digital study suite, working on the exact same high-tariff essay question. Let's call them Alex and Sam. Now, Alex is the fact-heavy scholar. Alex lives and breathes assessment objective 1. If you need the exact Afrikaans terminology for cardiovascular exercise or the precise grammatical structure for a past tense passive sentence, Alex is your person. But when the question asks to evaluate the effectiveness of a health policy, Alex completely freezes. Alex's draft looks like a glossary, just a list of rigid facts and quotes without any broader judgment. On the other side of the room, we have Sam. Sam is the concept-heavy scholar, driven by assessment objective 3. Sam is a creative thinker who instantly grasps the big picture. Sam's draft is full of sweeping, passionate arguments about the societal impacts of poor healthcare. But here's the problem. Sam's essay is a structural disaster. There's no precision, the arguments aren't anchored to the specific evidence in the text, and the grammar's all over the place. So they start debating. Alex says, "You can't just write a philosophy paper, Sam. You need to show you understood the facts in the text." And Sam fires back, "But Alex, your essay is just a summary. You aren't answering the to what extent command word." They are both absolutely right, and they are both currently sitting at a C grade. Because without merging technical accuracy with conceptual evaluation, you will hit a massive roadblock. This is exactly where I step in as the master coach to resolve their debate. You see, the synthesis required for top-tier marks demands structural precision and justified recommendations. You have to literally fuse Alex and Sam together. You need the rigid factual and grammatical accuracy of Alex to build the foundation of your paragraph, but then you must pivot and use Sam's conceptual evaluation to deliver the heavy-hitting analysis. It's about taking a specific, accurate piece of data from the Afrikaans text and then explicitly arguing what that data means in the grand scheme of the scenario. That is how you build a flawless response. Which perfectly sets up Section 4, Technical Methodology Breakdown. How do we actually execute that perfect synthesis under extreme time pressure? You use this 5-step deconstruct, solve, evaluate framework. Step 1. Identify key information directly from the Afrikaans stimulus. Do not rely on outside knowledge yet. Find the exact quotes, data, or arguments the author is presenting. Step 2. Break the problem into logical steps. If the question asks you to evaluate 2 different diet plans mentioned in the text, your logical steps are to define Plan A, define Plan B, compare them, and conclude. Keep it structured. Step 3. Execute a systematic analysis. This is where you apply your advanced Afrikaans vocabulary to unpack the how and why of the text. Step 4. Pause and check for reasonableness. Does your translation or interpretation actually make sense in the real world? If your analysis suggests the text is advocating for eating only sugar to cure stress, you've probably misread a key sentence. Reevaluate. And finally, Step 5. Make justified recommendations. This is your AO3 evaluation. Based on the systematic analysis you just performed, what is the final verdict? Follow this framework and you will never get lost in a complex question again.
And here is the secret behind the framework, the method mark strategy. Examiners actively award marks for clear notation, step-by-step working, and the systematic processing of the language. Let me make this crystal clear. If you jump straight to a brilliant broad conclusion at the end of your essay, but you completely fail to show how you analyzed the specific Afrikaans phrases in the text to get there, you are leaving incredibly valuable marks on the table. The examiners can't give you credit for a leap of logic. You have to hold their hand and walk them through your analytical process step by step. Show them exactly which words in the text triggered your conclusion. Okay, we're about to dive into the absolute hardest part of this explainer, the interactive workshop. But before we test your skills, pause right now and hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O&A levels at the handle at @acetheexam_IGCSE. Make sure you enable all notifications so you never miss our weekly Cambridge breakthroughs. We are dropping premium, high-level strategies every single week designed specifically to maximize your grades. Okay, focus up. Let's get back into the masterclass. Welcome to Section 5, the Interactive Visual Workshop. I am breaking the fourth wall here, because it is time to actively test what you've just learned. We are going to play Spot the Flaw. I want you to imagine a student was given a complex text about a rising healthcare crisis caused by workplace stress. They wrote an evaluation, but it scored very poorly. The prompt on the screen asks, why does this generic student evaluation of a healthcare stress scenario fail to achieve top marks? I am giving you a simulated 60-second challenge. I want you to literally pause this explainer right now.
Look back at the core principles we discussed, the command words, the context trap, the AO1 versus AO3 balance, and figure out exactly why this response crashed and burned. Go ahead, pause the video, and test yourself.
All right, we are back. Did you catch it? Let's systematically dissect this and reveal the flaw. The reason this answer failed is because it completely failed to extract relevant data from the stimulus material. It is the exact trap we talked about in the very beginning. The student wrote a beautifully grammatical essay about what stress is, but they didn't pull a single piece of specific textual evidence from the Afrikaans passage. They didn't link their theoretical knowledge of stress principles back to the specific healthcare crisis scenario provided in the text. This is the exact trap the examiners set for you. They don't just want to see if you can write in Afrikaans. They want to see if you can extract target language data, process it, and synthesize it directly with the given context. If you caught that flaw, you are already thinking like a principal examiner.
So, how do we fix it and guarantee those top marks? You use this comparative analysis framework. If a high tariff question asks you to evaluate or compare two viewpoints on a health topic, this is your structural blueprint. First, your focus. You must identify both similarities and differences. Only doing one caps your grade. Second, your language. You absolutely must use sophisticated comparative connectives in Afrikaans. Don't just use and maar. Use words like on the other kant or in ten stelling myth. Show off your structural precision. Third, your support. You need to provide hard, indisputable textual evidence for every single comparison you make. Quote the text directly. And finally, your conclusion. You must draw genuine insights on the relative importance of the points discussed. Don't just summarize what you already said. Tell the examiner which argument is stronger and why. This precise framework satisfies the absolute highest evaluative levels Cambridge requires.
Finally, let's bring it all together in Section 6, Strategy Recap. We have covered a massive amount of high-level strategy today. Both our imaginary scholars, Alex and Sam, have had their breakthroughs, realizing that synthesis is the key. So, here are your 3 masterclass pillars to memorize before you walk into that exam hall. Pillar 1, the 3-step question scan. Always identify the exact command word and the required data, apply the correct analytical framework, and execute your steps systematically. Pillar 2, the paragraph balance formula. You must constantly fuse your precise factual and linguistic knowledge, your AO1, with your deep conceptual evaluation, your AO3. Never write a paragraph that only does one. And Pillar 3, the last 5 minutes review checklist. Always leave time to verify that your chosen format is correct and that your entire answer is deeply, intimately tied to the specific Afrikaans text provided, not just a generic overview.
Remember, raw knowledge is great, but consistent strategy crushes exams every single time. It is not just about what Afrikaans vocabulary you know, it is entirely about how you prove your analytical comprehension on that paper. If you found this masterclass valuable and you are serious about securing those top bands, you need to hit subscribe right now for AC Exams IGCSE O and A levels at the handle @ACExam_IGCS. Ring that notification bell so you never miss a critical strategy session. I want you to drop down into the comments right now and declare your target grade, put it out there, and commit to it. Keep relentlessly practicing those past papers using the frameworks we discussed today, and I will see you in the next explainer.